What's up, everybody? So I thought I'd give you a quick update about where I've been the past week or so. My grandfather passed away, and I've been dealing with that. And I thought, you know what? I should update you guys about what's going on in my life. Kind of, I feel like I've got an obligation to do that. But I thought it could be a teaching point because I'm at a point now where I can talk about it, and particularly about death and death in the military. We laid my grandfather to rest yesterday. That is what I'm dealing with right now. If I'm inactive a little bit over the next week or two, it's because I'm dealing with that, and I'm just spending time with Miranda, and so there's that. But the teaching point here, I feel like, can be how to cope with death, especially when it happens when you're in the military. Now, my very first run-in with death of a friend, that happened to be the father of my best friend. I mean, we went to middle school together, high school together. Well, no, we went to elementary, middle school, high school together. We became Marines together. We've got matching damn tattoos, man. Like, I can't even make it up. And it's like, when I got the call that his father actually had committed suicide, I didn't know how to react. Like, you hear about veterans committing suicide, you hear about active duty folks committing suicide, but it doesn't really touch you. Like, it doesn't really come into your bubble, you know? And the moment it does, you're like, holy shit, what do I do? What does anybody do? So I remember very distinctly getting the call that my buddy's father had committed suicide. He was an Air Force major, a former Air Force major. And I mean, I don't know what demons he was dealing with, but when I got the phone call, I didn't know how to process it. And I went into work. I was a Lance Corporal at the time. And I go to my staff sergeant's office and I go, Staff Sergeant, my best friend's dad. And I just start bawling. And luckily I had good leadership because they were like, you know what, take as much leave as you need, go help your buddy, you know, be there for him. Oh man, I'm gonna choke up. And I was very thankful for that. I mean, we were able to take off work. I was able to get leave approved, and we were there for my buddy. But you know, how does he deal with that? And how do you deal with that? Suicide is such a touchy subject, and there's a million ways to talk about it. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that you're there for your buddy, that you have a responsibility to be his keeper. You are that, people go, what, I'm not his keeper. Like, yes, you are. You are that person's keeper. And above that, you got to also reach out to the family, especially knowing his mother. I mean, like I said, we were friends from elementary, middle school, high school, became Marines together. And it was just like, it was traumatizing. And I mean, the work doesn't stop a week after the funeral or a month after the funeral. The work continues for the rest of your life. I mean, there were times, every time I could make it home, every single time, we're talking like, I was driving up to Pennsylvania, which was out of bounds at the time. Yeah, you're not allowed to drive so far. I was driving that distance every weekend, and every weekend I was able to. I stopped by his house, and I just talked to his mom, whether he was there or not. And I know that made a huge difference. So one of the biggest things with death is making sure that you're reaching out to family, reaching out to friends. If it's a friend that has a death in the family, make sure you're there for them. And when it does come time for you to experience that, I'm sure your friends are going to reach out. That's the kind of people you got to surround yourself with. Again, suicide is a very touchy subject. I know this, but you got to look past the why, because you're never going to figure out the why to the suicide. You just got to focus on the family and the friends. So after that experience, I was actually, this is towards the end of my Marine Corps enlistment, where I'm in Camp Pendleton and I'm already having an emotional week because there was the recon challenge going on and I was covering that. And basically the recon challenge was where recon Marines run in honor of fallen Marines that they've served with. And so that was already emotional. I'm interviewing, you know, a mother whose son died, and I am literally just getting done doing that interview. I've already got tears, no shit, tears coming down my face from that interview. And it's emotional. And we're already talking about death. And then I'm on the last shot of the entire thing where the winning team comes across the finish line. And I get a notification on my phone from a buddy of mine in Japan. And he says, hey, just so you know, Hug's dead. And I said, wait, what? And he said, Jacob Hug is dead. And Jacob was a Marine that we went to MOS school with. And what had happened was he was helping deliver aid in a helicopter in Nepal. And he was documenting it. He was combat camera. And his helicopter ended up going down with other Marines on board. And I was particularly close with Jacob, and there was another combat camera Marine named Sarah Medina who was also on board. And it's just like trying to make sense of it. You're like, what the hell? Why? Why him? Like, literally the nicest person you will ever meet. Nerdy dude that kept to himself, was very quiet, never talked shit on anybody, and just enjoyed being one of the guys. Jacob was the kind of guy that would buy like a Millennial Falcon Lego set and like take pride in putting it together in 15 minutes. Like, that's the kind of dude he was. And you're just like, you try to figure out the why. That's what we do as humans. You try to figure out why does this happen. And again, you're never going to find out the why because it doesn't make sense. There's never going to be any sense to be made of it. But it's important to reach out to friends, to reach out to family. It's very important to take off work. If you need time for your mental health, talk to your gunnery sergeant, talk to your master sergeant, take off work. And that's what I got to say about that. So, you know, everybody joins the Marine Corps or the Army or whatever, knowing that there's a risk involved, that there's some kind of danger to joining the military. No matter what job you have, in some capacity, there's a danger to it. But until it hits you and affects you, which for some people, it never will. Like, some people will do an entire enlistment and hopefully, fingers freaking crossed, that they don't have to experience any sort of death. But when it does happen to you, it changes you a little bit. And I think that it's an important topic to talk about. I'm not sure if you got a lot out of this video, but it felt good to talk about because I think it's important to surround yourself with friends and family as much as you can. The second you are dealing with loss, surround yourself. And don't go it alone, because that's what leads to, you know, shitty situations. Alcoholism, drugs, just crappy ways of dealing. Like, that's not dealing, that's like temporarily putting away pain is what that is. And thank God I don't know anybody that has gone that way and not come back, you know. So with that being said, again, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. I'm going to take a little hiatus for a week or two, but we'll be back. All right? All right. Thanks, y'all.